Hey guys, it's Whiskey again. After I stopped part 2 of this series on PTSD and conversion to me, it dawned on me that I keep bypassing something that I really think is important and that I really wanted to say. And that is, what types of PTSD are they, or what areas of life can actually cause PTSD? Because one of the things that happens to me all the time when people find out I have PTSD, they're like, either, oh, you were in the military, or thank you for your service. And neither one of them are true. Although some people have thanked me for my service for being in teaching, and there is PTSD from teaching that I have. But I love that society has made such an effort and such a forward movement for veterans, military, and PTSD, and the survivors and people that are managing that and trying to get through that. I have all the love in the world for the people that acknowledge that, and I have all the love in the world for military veterans with PTSD. My family has a long line of military history, and we are actually a gold member family twice over. I understand that. I really genuinely do. That being said, military is not the only form of PTSD, and while the military has been finally brought some attention to for having PTSD when they come home and having to assimilate back into life, they're not the only ones. And it's not to take away from them. It's to say that there are still others, and I am one of the others. I am actually non-military PTSD, and I actually, when people say something, they're like, oh, but you're not in the military. And I'm like, no, really bad neighborhood. I grew up in a part of the country that a lot of the social dilemmas and social issues that are going on are running rampant there. I haven't been there in over a decade, and it's still happening there. And I'm not going to call out one neighborhood over another because they're not alone. You know, the inner cities and small town USAs and all these different things, you know, it's not necessarily improving everywhere. Some places it is, some places it's not. But people that live there have to live with what's going on and what's running rampant, and drugs and violence and everything else. You know, it is a war, but it's in their backyards. It's not overseas. There's, you know, homebound PTSD is what we'll call that, or homeland PTSD. I don't know what they actually, if there's actually even an official term for it. There's storms. People who have lived through hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and natural disasters and floods and things that they didn't necessarily have a choice to deal with, but surprise, it was in their lap, right? I've been through multiple tornadoes, and I can tell you right now, I could pick out a tornado before the Weather Service can. And I'm almost 100% accurate. 2 months ago, I just called one to come hit our neighborhood here. And I went live 10 minutes before it started and said, look at this and look at that, and look what's happening. And sure as shit, there was a tornado in my neighborhood. Medical PTSD is a big thing. It is a big deal, and people don't talk about it. Women who have had troubling pregnancies or lost children, people in general who have lost children. I have a pacemaker. I got a pacemaker at 43 years old. I have sick sinus syndrome, so the electrical mechanism in my heart doesn't keep time the way it's supposed to. My heart's actually too slow. So I ended up getting a pacemaker put in. I had to get to my sixth cardiologist, before someone took me seriously, actually ran the tests, and had a pacemaker. I suffered other physical injuries before they finally figured out, hey, something genuinely is wrong. Because of my actual other PTSD diagnoses and my conversion disorder diagnosis, I kept getting passed off as I'm a female with extreme anxiety, and that's what's wrong with your heart. It wasn't until I passed out and literally ripped my foot off my leg with a dislocation that they realized that it was caused from a heart condition. I advocate for that also. And a lot of people who have chronic illnesses, they have PTSD, and it's so very, very hard for them to get out of victim mode because they have had to fight so long to get somebody to listen to them, that once they're finally on a track where they can get some kind of stasis or some kind of healing, their brain is stuck in that mode of they constantly feel like they have to prove themselves, or that nobody's listening to them, or that there's no way out because they fought to get in, right? They fought to get into the medical world and into a diagnosis. So they have such a claim and attachment to it that they actually live anxiety of being identified with anything else. That's actually a form of PTSD. And anything that has caused any kind of trauma in your life that either stops you from actually living anymore, actively living, or has an anxiety trigger to it, or a depression trigger to it, or something that you really should, and I know we shouldn't shit on ourselves, and I won't shit on you, but anything that causes a stress reaction that we really need to look at, and probably, I firmly believe anybody that gets a chronic illness diagnosis should probably go to therapy also. And they actually, one of the first things they try to do with people with chronic illness, especially women, it's rampant with women. If you're a man listening to this, I don't know if you honestly understand how bad it is in our society, that they just tell us that we're high-strung women and here, go take this anxiety pill, and they ignore everything else. And part of the processing, a lot of disease is actually caused from our psychological issues and our stress and our anxieties and all that stuff that we keep bottled up and bottled in. And it creates things like autoimmunity and cancers, and it creates disease because we've stuffed our energies down, and we're hiding our lights, and we're hiding all these things that are literally poisoning us. And the medical field has zero bedside manner when it comes to a process on how to not even deal with us, on how to have any kind of compassion or any kind of empathy and look at the whole patient. And that causes PTSD in these individuals. And I'm going to approach that on some other levels too, because it just gets my goat the way that's happened even in my own life and in other people's lives that I've seen, where they've been passed off and looked over, and there's genuinely something wrong. I've actually lost friends because of that. Not like they're not my friends anymore, but like they've literally died because the physicians wouldn't listen to what the patient was saying. But this whole thing is to say that it's not just military, it's anybody who has an issue that keeps coming back. And even in the political realm and on the media, I know how everybody makes joke. Well, not everybody. There's been a running, basically meme war, I don't know how to explain it, about safe zones and safe spaces and trigger warnings and everything else. And the truth of the matter is, if people haven't been taught, what's the word called? Conflict resolution skills. If people haven't been taught how to deal with their own mess, or find the messages in their mess, or how to filter through things or filter things out that don't have to affect them. If people haven't been taught to stand in their own light and their own sovereignty, they have problems processing things. That is a legitimate issue. And I really don't understand how, as a society, we have gone so far on any spectrum, anywhere. We've gone so far, you're either this or that. You're either this or that. And nobody, and I can't say nobody either, but many, many people, and at least the media portrays it, that we don't have to step back and look at different perspectives, that we don't, and I'm not even saying you have to like somebody's perspective, but at least acknowledge that there are other perspectives. You know, not, I've had people dismiss my PTSD because I wasn't in the military. Well, you can't have PTSD, you didn't go to war. I'm like, car accidents, there's another one. You know, people have PTSD from car accidents that never went to war. That's their battle. They don't have to go to physical war to have to fight their own personal battle. That's the point I'm getting to. Took me a long time to get there. We understand my brain by this point. And I just let everything go on in the middle, because once I do the playback, it usually makes sense. But my brain kind of goes on autopilot sometimes. But we're cool. We're cool. So that's it. I love you. If you are fighting your own personal battle or you're in your own journey on all of this, I honor you, because I understand some days are sunshine and some days are hell. And the best we can do is make the best of every day that we have. But I love you. I actually have to go do my chores now because I've been recording all morning. And again, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Facebook channel. They're both Palm Tree Elegy. If you'd like to leave a comment in either one of those, or if you'd like to email me, it's palmtreeelegy@gmail.com. And I love you all, and we will talk to you later. Keep on rocking.